Well, hey there, everyone. It's your favorite reviewers, Carson and Sarah, back to tackle the second Stephen King adaptation, big budget adaptation in cinemas this year, It.
And I am so excited.
For it?
For it. I am excited for it.
Yes, I have actually been looking forward to this quite a bit. Just from everything I've seen, I'm like, sweet, it looks like you guys are doing this right. And especially given that, so I don't know if the audience knows the general structure of the book, It, but it's kind of told, I won't say non-linear, but it's closer to something like Lost, where something will happen in present day and that'll trigger a memory of like when they were kids and dealing with Pennywise. So the difference being in the movie, in this one, it's all dealing with just the kids. And that's it. And I'm like, that is what y'all needed to do. This is the right way to do it. Because otherwise you get another situation like the television movie with Tim Curry.
Yeah.
And gonna be completely honest with this one, I do not like the original version with Tim Curry. I like Tim Curry, but he plays it up to 11 so hard that it's like, okay, you're not Pennywise, you're just Dr. Frankenfurter who's a little bit more murderous. So
I haven't seen all of the miniseries. I've seen like bits and pieces, and what I have seen, because I know a lot of people like our age are like, oh, it was really scary, scared me as a kid, now I'm afraid of clowns. Like, I see bits and pieces, I'm like, it just doesn't feel very scary to me. Like, he feels, it's a little more campy almost. Like, he's still creepy for sure.
Yeah,
but it's not
campy.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll probably sit down one time and eventually watch it, because I know it is long. It's like 3 hours.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard to be scared by Pennywise when he's sitting on a balcony in a library just going, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha. It's like, okay.
Yeah, but then again, and I think we've said this in like other reviews for horror movies we've seen this year, movies don't really scare me. I mean, I love horror movies. That's my favorite genre by far, but they don't really scare me, so I'm crossing my fingers. Maybe this will be the one. Maybe this will be the one that scares me. Even though I'm not afraid of clowns, I love clowns. I think they're so cool, but I'm not afraid of them.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. I think that it'll actually be really good. I cannot remember if, I almost want to say like Corey Fukujima, or I forgot his name, but he's the guy who directed almost every episode of True Detective. He also did Beasts of No Nation and Sin Nombre. I feel like he had his hand in this adaptation of It at some point, and I'm just like, yes.
And I think it'll be interesting to see. Oh, it's like Bill Skarrsgard, one of the Skarrsgard brothers.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Cool. Yeah. He's playing Pennywise, and I'm hoping he does a good job.
Yeah, I love the look of Pennywise.
Yeah, I mean, he does
just from the adverts.
Yeah, he does creepy really well, because he was in Hemlock Grove, and he was actually like, when there were times where he was kind of creepy. Yeah, he did a pretty good job.
And he was actually also in Atomic Blonde this year, and he's just has a very unsettling presence. Like in the movie, in Atomic Blonde, he's not a villain or anything. It's just like, okay,
you're just like, I don't want to be
one of those people that,
alone
like,
with you.
He's one of those people that you're like, you seem like you're perpetually moist. Get away. So, I'm excited. You're excited. I hope it's good. It doesn't necessarily need to scare me, because I can enjoy horror movies from like a more academic perspective.
Yeah, even if it's like suspenseful.
Yeah. I don't have super high hopes, but I do think it will be at least good. And that's all I really need it to be. So let's go see this thing.
Yeah, let's go. Whee!
There's not like any town I've ever been in before. People die or disappear 6 times the national average. And that's just grown-ups. Kids are worse. Way worse.
And through the magic of editing, we're back.
Look at that. So we saw It. What did you think of It? That joke's never not gonna get funny.
I thought the girls a few seats down from us couldn't shut up about it. PSA for everyone out there, if you like talking, in a movie or texting on your phone, I really do hope your day is just ruined. I have no empathy or sympathy for anyone who does that kind of crap. You belong on the lowest ring of hell. Don't ruin my movie-going experience. That being said, I have very complex feelings about this film. Now, I'm going to preface everything else I will say by saying I liked the movie. By the end, I really did like the movie. What did you think? And then we'll actually get into this.
I kind of feel like I'm the same way. I have some thoughts on there's certain things, but overall I did like the movie. There were some things I think really worked well. Like, I think all the kids have really good chemistry together.
So let's tackle this one at a time.
Okay.
Okay, so, before we get into the actual critique, just brief synopsis of what the film's about. Derry, Maine, where all of these kids live, there's a lot more disappearances there, like 6 times the national average, one of the kids says, compared to everywhere else.
And that's just for adults. They say kids, it's way higher.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they all have some sort of encounter with something that scares them, and also this clown. And the main driving force of the film is one of the characters loses his brother at the beginning of the movie, and he's trying to find him. And that's his singular driving focus. And in doing so, he also gathers his friends around to help him with this task. That is the most succinct way to put what this plot is. Now, the storytelling of this movie is incredibly weird. Not like weird, but there is no first act. Like, there is no introduction, exposition. There's no, this is my buddy Matt, and that's my friend Fats. He's fat, but he's also pretty funny. There's none of that. All of these kids, their friendships are established, but they don't tell the audience. Yeah. And I like that aspect of it, but it's very jarring. Yeah. And then I would say the first half of the film, because we are experiencing what terrifies each one of these kids individually, plus Pennywise, it gives it a very episodic nature for the first half.
Almost, yeah. It's like, they go like, okay, this is like the whole thing with like what scares this kid, this is their interaction. And then it kind of like immediately like goes to another person, and some of the edits are a little weird at that point.
It's, yeah, what gets me is that it's not necessarily kid A, thing he's scared of, Pennywise. Kid B, thing he's scared of, Pennywise.
No, yeah.
It's like, kid A, here's something he's kind of scared of. Lol, we're like introducing some of the other people. And then we get back to kid A and we show what he's scared of in Pennywise, and then we'll go to kid C. Like the pattern and the way that it's spread out is like, it is episodic, but it never feels predictable, which I think really helps the film. And it's one of those things, and this is one of those times where I kind of wish sometimes I did written reviews, where it's like, I need to mull this over more. Yeah, it's to know how much I like or didn't like that.
I know, we were on the walk to the car and I was trying to be like, okay, what am I going to say about this movie and how I feel? Because it's just hard to explain. Maybe it's because it was a little bit longer. It's about a little more than 2 hours. Yeah. And I do feel like it may have been, at least for me, it may have been a little long.
So we'll circle back to that in a second, but I had a very similar experience the first time I watched Kingsman. The first time I watched the first Kingsman movie, I was like, oh, it's mostly a training thing, and all right. Near the end, it got really good, and I watched it a second time, and I'm like, now that I know what to expect, I actually kind of like it a little bit more. Like it a little bit more. Like it a little bit more. And now I absolutely love that film, and I'm highly anticipating the next one. I kind of feel like I'm going to have the same response to it.
I know. I said the movie after we watched it, I was like, I kind of want to see it again.
Yeah.
Just so I can be like, okay, I know everything that happened. Let me watch it again.
Yeah, you need to sit with it a little bit long.
Which I kind of like, in a way. And I think
those are the kinds of movies that I always find are more fascinating.
Especially with a horror movie, too.
Yes, absolutely.
And because, and they've announced this before, there will be a part 2.
Yes. So, as we stated before, the plot of the book is it bounces between them as kids and them as adults. Goes back and forth. And this one is all about them as kids. And then the next one, and given how popular this movie is already, given the next one, I definitely believe there will be a next one. And I honestly feel that the next one will be a more enriching experience.
Yeah, especially if you've seen this one. I think what would be fun is to do a really, like, a double feature. Like, go to the movie, like, go to the movie theater, see this one, and then immediately watch the next one.
And I love that. So in between these episodic events that happen primarily in the first half, is the relationship between all the kids and how their friendship works. And what I love is that there's not a hierarchy. There's not a stereotype. It's like, that one's the fat one, that one's the black one, that one's the goofy one. No, they're all kind of assholes.
Yeah.
But they still love each other as friends. And I love the film also didn't linger on it didn't linger on Beverly and like an internal strife of any kind to see who's gonna win her.
I kind of liked that.
I really liked that as far as the structure of the plot. And in going into the kids themselves, like, damn, like the interactions between all of them, I'm like, I talk that way with my friends to this day. When I was a kid, that's how we talked.
Like, it felt very genuine, which is sometimes can be hard when you have like a bigger cast of kids. There were what, like 6 or so? And they all watching, I was like, no, I could see how they're all are friends, which was really nice. And
I would imagine the kids probably got along really well behind the scenes.
Yeah, and that's something I'm sure they worked on too, because you needed to be believable on screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the kids did a really good job.
Some of the best kid acting ever.
Like, they were all really good, especially in a horror movie too.
Yeah.
Like, it was all like super believable. If you've seen Stranger Things, one of the characters from that, he is in this, and he does a pretty good job too.
Yeah, they all do an incredible job, and I love the way that they worked as friends. And brief aside, the way they talk to each other, that's locker room talk. That's what locker room talk is.
I will say the actress who played Beverly, she did a really good job.
Okay.
Like,
one of the kids pointed this out, and I was thinking it the whole movie. She looks like the spitting image of Molly Ringwald.
She does.
And oh my God, I'm just like, that girl is so cute, and she is doing an incredible job. I hope she has a great career. I hope all these kids have great careers.
Yeah, I mean, and like, I don't know, like, her performance makes you feel things. Like, I don't know, at least me, like, I hurt, like, it.
And specifically with Beverly, I like that they didn't have to show or explain a very particular thing with her character. What there was, fine, good, that's perfect. Not a frame more or a frame less, leave it. And I feel that, like, that restraint definitely works to this film's benefit.
What did you think? Like, did you think it was scary, or because it seemed like in our theater a lot of people were jumping, saw some popcorn go flying. So
yeah, there's one time where I will admit I didn't even jump. I just clenched my fists, and it's just like I knew it was coming, but it was just the loud noise got to me. So I don't get scared by films, and I believe that this is kind of universal for a lot of, this is kind of universal, is that either you get scared by films or you don't get scared by films. Whatever. I very, very rarely get scared by films. I just check in I don't get scared by films. But I love horror films, and I love looking at them as an academic. As in you're going, oh, I see how you're putting this together for this kind of scary payoff. And in seeing that, and seeing the way that's constructed, and then the way everything pays off, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was really good, and they, like, from the beginning, they're showing you they are not messing around with some of that stuff. Like, from the get-go, it's going. And there is some gore, and as a person who loves gore, so good. Like, from, like, the beginning, it was, what, like, maybe the first 10 minutes? Yeah. I was like, no, this is good. Yeah. This gore, real good.
When I shut this camera off, we're going to discuss a lot more about this film. What else? Okay, before I forget it, so you were saying that you felt the film went on a little bit too long. I agree, but I disagree. I felt the length. I did feel the length, but in feeling that length, when the movie was finally over, I was like, fine, I can just kind of relax. Like, it felt oppressive. Yeah. And it felt like, by the end, we had been on this journey with these kids dealing with that. In the moment where the film ends, and what they do is, like, it's cathartic. Yeah. And you're just like, oh, yes. Yeah. I could use one of those after this film. And I like that. And so yes, I did feel the length of the film, but at the same time, that kind of worked for me.
But I mean, the story, like, I feel like it covered. I've never read the book, so I can't say if it was, like, true to the book or anything. But, like, I felt like it went over, like, the plot, everything. Like, it did a really good job. I was just like, there are certain times I was like, maybe you could have, like, sped that scene up a little bit.
Yes, there were a few things where I'm like, maybe you didn't necessarily need that particular montage.
Yeah, or, like, maybe you can, like, because there are certain scenes where it just felt like it, like, lingered a little too long, and maybe you could just, like, cut that down a little bit. But other than that, it was good. And the more, like, we talk about this, and the more I think about it, I really like the movie. I do want to see it again.
Yeah, one of the things that did get to me, though, and this again, more movie-going experience, is that these kids would have very honest reactions to what's going on, and sometimes they'd make a joke out of what they just experienced, and the laughter in the cinema went on, like, it was so loud and it went on for so long that I felt like it messed up the pacing. Like, it felt like a record scratching.
Yeah, like, there are, like, there are funny jokes, and obviously when you're in a situation like that, a lot of people's first reactions are to make jokes, which is fine, and it worked really well.
Yes, and I want to make it absolutely clear, this is not the movie's fault. The movie was perfect with that. It was just the audience kind of thing. So maybe that's something you watch out for. Maybe you go to a little bit less crowded cinema. Yeah. But that's just something to kind of watch out for. But I liked that, because that's something that I actually have a problem with in a lot of things. Like, I can't think of a great example of what I mean by this, but a lot of the time, you know, things will happen and the character's reaction will be like, we have to keep going, we're stoic and cool. Whereas in this movie, or like Kong Skull Island, where the one guy's like, are we not going to discuss the 100-foot ape that just wrecked all of our stuff?
And that's kind of how this movie is. Like, certain characters will, like, they're like, whoa, wait, like, what?
And all the, you know, with that, all the character choices made sense.
Like, it was something where it was like, if a character decided, like, if they were trying to decide whether or not they're gonna, you know, go after someone or whatever, like, it makes a lot of sense, and it's something like, as a viewer, you're like, no, I totally get that.
Yeah, it's one of those times where I'm like, okay, I know my reaction to this situation would be that character and what that character is doing. However, I would not begrudge one single soul for doing what that character's doing over there. So I liked that. I liked the way this all came together.
What did you think of Bill Skarrsgard as Pennywise?
Okay, so I was never a big fan of Tim Curry as Pennywise. I like Tim Curry. I like his work.
He's an amazing guy.
He's an amazing dude. But I won't say he was wrong for Pennywise. He was not directed well for Pennywise. This Pennywise, so clowns don't get under my skin, but this guy was creepy, and I loved the
fashion choices.
Okay, yes, the costuming was great.
Almost, I think it's the exact term is like Edwardian, is probably like that ruffle collar, really good.
Absolutely.
Like, really good. More kind of like what you would, I don't know, I guess like maybe like a jester and like a court would almost wear.
Closer
because to that. It wasn't like campy, like you're not seeing any like bells or anything, and it wasn't like, it's not like a bunch of bright colors like how...
Well, actually, so you didn't see any bells, but you heard them?
Yeah.
And that actually works because so this is very weird to try and explain. With Tim Curry as Pennywise, it felt more like clowns are scary. With Bill Skarrsgard as Pennywise, and the way this film utilizes that, especially at the end, with the way that's utilized is less clowns are scary and more this is a perversion of something that is meant to bring joy. And I love that. Like, that's such a subtle difference. Like, that is the way we're planning this film, the way we're putting it together. It's like deep in the film's DNA, and that care and attention I feel was lost on the TV movie, and in this one, I almost feel like Stephen King saw it, went, you got it,
like
kid, you nailed it.
He was really good, like creepy as fuck. And I mean, like we said, it's not, we didn't find it scary. I'm sure lots of other people will, but we just don't get scared by movies. But he was real good. Okay,
small detail, and it's right at the beginning. I love how he talks inconsistently, and that had to be difficult.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he's happy and joyous and creepy, but it's like such a subtle shift.
But it's like, it's really, like, it flows really well too.
It was, I was like, this is so good.
He's probably the thing I'm most excited about for the next.
Yes.
For a part 2 is what they're calling
Chapter
it.
2.
Chapter 2.
Yeah.
He's what I'm most excited for, to see how he, he and all those other characters interact together. It's so good.
Yeah. And with that, with us bringing up the chapter difference there, I do feel, however, if you just watch this movie and you take it on its own merits, it works.
Yeah, it could be
as just one standalone film.
It could be a great standalone film. I mean, I'm glad there's going to be a part 2. I think.
I mean, we haven't seen the box office receipts, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're going to get a part 2.
It's a Stephen King movie. He's got a million movies. So we'll be fine.
I will say, like, so barring The Shining, because The Shining it's very different. It's really its own thing. But speaking about Stephen King adaptations as a whole, best one.
It was really good.
That's not hyperbolic. This nails the way you construct a film. Oh my God! We haven't even touched on how beautiful this movie is.
There's so many gorgeous shots.
Oh, it's so gorgeous.
I feel like we could go on and talk about this movie for forever. I mean, we already have, but we could go on and on.
Okay. The way that they would shoot things to signify Pennywise kind of lurking around the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, every time I saw that, I'm like, stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah, like you could just tell. And also one fun thing, and even though I haven't seen a lot of the miniseries, there are little certain things that they put in there that you're like, oh, you're like hinting at it, or like saying like, hey, like we're kind of referencing that. Just like little things that if you've seen it, you'll get it. Or if you've seen clips, you'll get it.
And so before we wrap this up, the one last thing that I did want to touch on, and this is kind of going back to Stephen King adaptations in general, is a lot of the time Stephen King adaptations nail one of two things. Well, they get mostly right one of two things. They get the plot right, they get the characters right. And this nails the plot and the characters. The plot is not sacrificed to give us better characters. The characterization and the way these characters are no part of that is sacrificed to give us more plot. And it encapsulates entirely what it is that makes Stephen King's writing unique, while staying true to it. And that's why I say The Shining is different. It stays true to that original vision so perfectly and iterates upon it magnificently. And I can't wait to watch this again and study it. And I can't wait to talk to other people about it.
Yeah, and I'm excited for, like, you know, eventually it comes out on DVD and I can watch the special features, because I want to hear, like, why the director chose to do certain shots the way that they did.
Yes. And
I'm sure there's going to be some really great special feature on Bill Skarrsgard getting ready for this role.
Yeah.
And I would love to learn more about that, because it was good.
Yeah, I mean, okay. At the end of the day, go see it in cinemas. This is definitely a great cinematic experience.
And a really, like, I mean, even if we don't like scary movies, it's a really good, suspenseful horror movie.
Even if we're not affected.
I guess
movies.
we should say affected. Which there's a really good article out there, and we'll post the link to that in the description below, about why certain people are affected by scary movies and why some are not. I was reading it today, and it's actually really interesting. So we'll link that below. So check that out.
Yes. So at the end of the day, I say go watch it. I mean, rated R horror films, so don't take the kids.
Yeah, a lot of language.
Perfect.
It's
perfect.
a lot of gore.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen more gore in certain movies.
The use of gore is effective.
Yeah, and use of blood, really good.
Yes.
Yeah, and then next week we have another horror movie.
we have another one of my most anticipated films of the year, Darren Aronofsky's Mother. Yes!
Yeah.
It's been too long, Darren! I know he's typically on like a 3-year cycle for putting out another movie, but 3 years too long, bro. 3 years too long.
It'll be good.
But thank you for watching this. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, post your comments below. If you've seen it, I want to talk to you about it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it and then we'll talk. But please, like this video, subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/glassfilmshouse, facebook.com/glasshousefilms, and Twitter @glasshousefilms. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Yep.
Bye.